Good morning here. Kurt Jackson with KJ Financial in Liberty, Missouri, here with this week's installment of Your Money Matters. We're going to talk about three different things today. First one we're going to talk about is the Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare. And it's becoming more and more clear that we all must have a more thorough understanding of how Obamacare and its works and its financial impact on all of us. While they did predict nominal increases in premiums, that's not been the case in reality. Many of the people covered under Obamacare are seeing double-digit increases. There was a client who didn't sign up for the Affordable Care Act last year. She just kept her individual coverage that she had had before the law was instituted, and her plan received a 20% increase this year. And when we looked into seeing if she could get her deductible raised to lower that premium, they said no changes could be made to her coverage. She could only transfer to an Obamacare or Affordable Care Act bronze, silver, or gold plan. Under her current plan, she had a $500 deductible, okay? But even going to a bronze plan, which has a $6,350 deductible, her premium would have still escalated beyond the increase in her current coverage with just a $500 deductible, okay? So obviously, we're going to stay with the current coverage. All right. Here's a quote from the Chicago Tribune. New 2015 bronze level plans available through the Affordable Care Act for Cook County residents show more plans with high deductibles. Such plans are problematic because the high deductible means that medical care still isn't actually affordable. So what I don't think people realize is you have those premiums, and even if you're getting these subsidies, okay, you still have, on the bronze plans, you have up to $6,350 deductible. So you got to pay all your premiums and that deductible before your insurance starts paying anything. So if you're paying $500 a month, let's say that's $6,000, you got to spend $12,350 out of pocket before they start kicking in on anything other than the covered care on, your some of your normal things you do each year. All right. So we found that that individual mandate was conceived as a tax, and the state and federal base exchanges were not a typo. They were intentional. So you remember when the Speaker of the House at the time, Nancy Pelosi, said, let's hurry up, pass this law so we can find out what's in it? Well, we're starting to find out that it's not good, and it doesn't provide the coverage that the legislature thought. It does not reduce costs. It does not increase access to, and it does not incentivize our healthcare professionals to stay in the business of healthcare. So we must find a way to deliver quality healthcare to everyone at an affordable price, or we will bankrupt our country. So healthcare costs are the number one challenge that our country faces, and it's really become one of the bigger challenges that we face trying to personally as we try to fund it in our personal financial lives. All right, next I want to kind of talk a little bit about Social Security. Social Security is always at the back of my mind, and I know I'm 40. I just turned 49, so Social Security is a long ways away from me. But it'd still be smart to be thinking about it and how it may fit into our retirement plan. So, and if you listen to or read my column or watch my videos on a regular basis, you know that I believe it's an outright lie to tell someone that they're not going to get their Social Security. There's one thing that guarantees Americans will get their Social Security. See, there's currently over 100 million people over the age of 50 in America, and there will be 130 million over the age of 50 by the year 2030. None of these people will vote to get rid of Social Security. Not one. Okay? So don't worry about that part of it. But because Social Security is still under duress, okay, and there's some changes that are going to need to be made. All right? So now the last time that the changes were made to shore up Social Security, it was supposed to last until 2058, all right? But if the trend continues, it's been going, those adjustments that were made, we're going to be insolvent in 2024. I mean, it's a drop from 2033, like 2 years ago, to 2024. So that's 34 years sooner than predicted. Now, when we say insolvent, it doesn't mean you're not going to get any money, okay? Because the program it's a pay-as-you-go. We have workers working that are paying the benefit, their money's paying the benefits to the people that are using it right now. Okay, so even if it went insolvent in 2024 without any changes, Social Security could still pay 76% of the promised benefits from the current contributions. Okay, so recipients, although we're not going to stand for that, I'm sure. So Congress in July proposed the Social Security 2100 Act, and there's three major proposals. First is to adjust the cost of living to a consumer price index for elderly consumers. They're just trying to basically decrease the amount that they're increasing it by each year. Okay, and last year was 1.7%. So it's not like over the last 40 years it's averaged 2.8%, but most recently in the last several years it's been pretty low. There was one year it was over 3%, but we had 2 or 3 years where it didn't go up at all. Right. Second is to increase Social Security taxes from 6.2% for the employer and 6.2% for the employee to 7.2% for the employer and 7.2% for the worker. Third is to impose a tax on our highest earning Americans, incomes over 400,000. We would see a reduced 2% payroll tax with no limit on that. So will Americans stand for this increase in light of all the other income tax increases that they're going to face going forward? Well, we don't really know. Then people are going to ask me, well, Kurt, how do you know that we're going to get our Social Security? It's easy, because if we don't have the money, they'll just print it. That's what they've been doing. Okay, politicians are not going to face the wrath of 100 million Americans when it comes to their Social Security. Now, there is another side concern, and it's a significant one, that if the dollar is no longer the global currency, and the Chinese have been trying to posture to get the yuan to be the global currency. If that happens, then when we start printing that money, it's not going to mean anything, because that money is not going to be able to be spent anywhere but maybe here. Okay, so there are some concerns. So they're going to have to make some changes, because just print money is really kind of a nuclear option, if you know what I'm talking about. So. Okay, great. So Social Security is something that we need to be concerned about. And what we talk to our clients about is, look, there's ways to maximize your benefits. So if they're going to cut them, okay, that may be a reality. But do you want them to cut from a lower amount, or do you want them to reduce from a higher amount? Right? So that's why we still think that it's very important to plan for Social Security. And the sooner you do that, the more you'll end up having. In fact, the sooner you get with someone that understands how income planning works, the more income you'll end up having. So keep that in mind. Okay, next I'm going to talk about college aid. It's a little late for the folks that have juniors and seniors this year, but I wanted to talk to people, hopefully, or even if you have kids that are older and are going to be getting married and having kids, someday. These are important things to realize, because there's an additional area of my practice that can really benefit you to receive as much college aid as possible. See, there's some very important planning that can be used for the college aid, and that planning can begin as early as the birth of a child. See, average tuition, now this doesn't include room and board, at nonprofit schools is over 31 grand a year, and at public four-year college it exceeds 9 grand per year on average. See, most families don't even consider planning until they're actually completing the FAFSA, and that's the free application for federal student aid. But by then it's too late. See, most people don't realize that this aid qualification is money that they can receive for their child's education, for their child's college, that they don't have to pay back. Okay, they are unaware of what assets count and don't count when applying for aid, and that's mainly for the public schools. The private schools will still probably look at this, but they also offer more aid than most public schools. For instance, so remember that this is going to be one of the biggest expenses a family is going to face. So would it make sense to plan? Okay, life insurance and annuities are beneficial because they're not counted. Okay, they're not counted by this formula for state colleges. An annuity is only counted if a withdrawal is made. If it's not, then it's not counted as an asset in the FAFSA. This has become an important area of expertise for people in my industry, but I don't know that many of them are embracing it. So there are ways to increase the aid that you can get with colleges, but you need to plan early. So we can set up some things for kids. I just recently worked with a client. We set up a couple things for their 11 and 13-year-old kids that's going to give them a vehicle to fund basically anything and everything that they want, including college. So now, is that getting started ridiculously young? No, because we can start that when they're 1 year old or when they're born. So while it's still young, it's not ridiculously young. We can get even younger. So it's something to think about. We need to be smarter with our money, and that's the main crux of all that I try to accomplish with my articles and my videos and my video blogs and all of the stuff that I put out there. I try to help educate you to help you better understand how important it is to plan, and not just planning, but proper planning. I'm not a big fan of traditional planning because I don't think that it's all of the research that I've done, all of the analysis I've done shows that it does not accomplish the things that people want to accomplish. What it accomplishes, in my opinion, and this could be easily argued, is it's lining the pockets of those of Wall Street and those that work for the Wall Street firm. So, and if you ever want to discuss that, just give me a shout. Hey, one of the new things I'm starting to do is just to try to get a gauge of what you guys want to learn about. So I've included some surveys. I'm starting to include surveys. So I'm going to put below my video here, I'm going to put a link to a survey. It'll take you probably a minute to 2 minutes to do it. I would appreciate it. It would really help me out on the focus of the types of things that the type of material that I put out there, the type of advice that I give. So if you do that, I appreciate that. And if you ever want to set up below that, I'll set up a link also that you can schedule an online appointment if you want to talk to me about your retirement. So that's always going to be available there, and I can do that at no cost, no obligation. And I do them online just because it makes it easier and it's more efficient use of all of our time. So thanks for tuning in today. If you have found the value in the stuff that we put out today, please share it with your friends, your family, your coworkers, anyone you care about. Thanks, and I hope you have a great week.